Hello students, let us move to the next topic, that is the experimental proof for semi-conservative DNA replication. In the previous class we have discussed about the mechanism or the machinery of DNA replication by the involvement of various number of enzymes, a set of enzymes, the DNA replication takes place. The experimental proof for semi-conservative DNA replication was given by Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl in 1958. So they used bacterial cells to explain the semi-conservative DNA replication, and they used a special medium for the culturing of bacterial cells. First, they grew the Escherichia coli cells in a medium containing NH4Cl with the N15. N15 is the heavy isotope of nitrogen as the only source for many generations. So when the bacterial cells were cultured in the medium with the N15 nitrogen, all the bacterial cells produced in that medium contained only the N15 in their DNA as a nitrogenous base. The result was that N15 was incorporated into newly synthesized DNA as well as other nitrogen containing compounds. This heavy DNA molecule could be distinguished from the normal DNA by centrifugation in a cesium chloride density gradient mechanism. And please note here that N15 is not a radioactive isotope, that is the heavy density isotope. So in their experiment, first, as I told earlier, they culture the bacterial cells in the N15 medium for several generations, and then they isolated the bacterial cells consisting N15 in both the DNA strands. Then they extracted the DNA from such bacterial cells, and on centrifugation they got heavy density DNA molecules at the base or bottom of the centrifugation tube. Then they transfer the cells into a medium with the normal NH4Cl, that is with N14 nitrogen, and took samples at various definite time intervals as the cells multiplied and extracted the DNA that remained as double-stranded helices. The various samples were separated independently on cesium chloride gradients to measure the density of DNA. So in the first step they got DNA molecules with the N15 on both the strands, and they cultured the bacterial cells which is grown on N15 medium by using another medium with the N14, and they isolated the bacterial cells from such N14 medium and then extracted the DNA from such bacterial cells, and then on centrifugation they got DNA molecules with the hybrid density. Thus, the DNA that was extracted from the culture one generation after the transfer from N15 to N14 medium, that is after 20 minutes, because the Escherichia coli requires 20 minutes to produce a new generation by the binary fission, had a hybrid or intermediate density. The DNA extracted from the culture after another generation, that means for 20 minutes more, that means the second generation was produced. So when they extracted the DNA from such bacterial cells, they got the bands of DNA in two types. One with the low density DNA, another DNA molecules or the bands of DNA with the hybrid density. By this experiment, they proved that DNA replicates semi-conservative. So here you can see the steps involved in the DNA replication. See the first diagram, the DNA, both the DNA strands consist N15. On centrifugation, the heavy density DNA molecules were found at the bottom of the centrifugation tube. Then such bacterial cells were cultured for 20 minutes to obtain the first generation. When the DNA molecules were extracted from such bacterial cells, on centrifugation, the DNA molecules were settled at the center of the centrifugation tube, and that represent the hybrid density DNA molecule. When the parental cells were cultured, that means the generation 1 bacterial cells were cultured for one more generation, total 40 minutes. When you consider the first parental generation, it becomes 40 minutes. So after 40 minutes, the bacterial cells were isolated and the DNA were extracted, and such DNA molecules were centrifuged. On centrifugation, they got hybrid density DNA molecules, some hybrid density DNA molecules at the center of the centrifugation tube, and some DNA molecules at the top of the centrifugation tube consisting N14 on both the strands. So this was an experiment conducted by two scientists, Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl, in their experiment. Now, one small video clipping is given here. It represents the steps involved in experiment conducted by Michelson and Stahl. Bacterial cells were cultured in the N15 medium for several generations, so that they got the bacterial cells with only N15 in both the DNA strands. So this is an amplification or multiplication of bacterial cells in the N15 medium. They collected such bacterial cells, and in the next step they introduced or they cultured such bacterial cells in the N14 medium. Now newly synthesized DNA should contain N14 as nitrogenous bases, and then extracted the DNA and centrifuged in the cesium chloride centrifugation method. So this is a centrifugation. On centrifugation, they got hybrid density DNA molecules at the center. So here, strand consisting N14 as nitrogenous base, and this is a DNA molecule with the N15. So this is a heavy density DNA molecule. So F1 generation DNA was hybrid, one strand with the N14, another strand with the N15. So here one N15 strand was retained, the another N14 strand was newly synthesized. When such bacterial cells were cultured in N14 medium for one more generation, they got hybrid density DNA as well as low density DNA molecules at the top of the centrifugation tube. So this is the parental DNA in N15, separation of N15 strands and formation of new N14 strands. Again, all the four strands were separated, and newly synthesized strand always consists N14. And here you can see N14, 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 N15, N15, N14, N14, N14. So this is about the semi-conservative DNA replication mechanism. Now let us move to the next very important topic, that is about RNA, the another type of nucleic acid, RNA, ribonucleic acid. Already I told about the chemical composition of RNA also. These are also made up of monomers called as ribonucleotides, and the ribonucleotides are made up of three chemical components: nitrogenous bases, pentose sugar, that is ribose. Nitrogenous bases are of two types: adenine, guanine are the purines, and cytosine as well as uracil are the pyrimidines and the phosphate group. So RNA was the first genetic material produced at during the course of origin of life, and there is now enough evidence to suggest that essential life processes such as metabolism, translation, splicing, etc. evolved around RNA. RNA used to act as a genetic material as well as a catalyst. There are some important biochemical reactions in living systems that are catalyzed by RNA catalysts and not by the protein enzymes. So especially during the translation process for the synthesis of protein molecules, this type of enzyme, that is ribozyme RNA peptidyl transferase enzyme, is required, and that peptidyl transferase enzyme is not a proteinaceous enzyme, that is ribozyme RNA, particularly the 23S rRNA of prokaryotes acts as a ribozyme or the enzyme. RNA being a catalyst was reactive and hence unstable. Because of that, RNA is not found as genetic material in the living organisms. There are three major types of RNA. mRNA, that is also called as messenger RNA, which is responsible for the transfer of genetic information from the DNA to the ribosomes during the translation process. And there are three major types of RNA. The second one is rRNA, ribosomal RNA. It forms a structural component of ribosomes. And finally, the tRNA, transfer RNA, responsible for the transfer of amino acids from the amino acid pool to the ribosomes during protein synthesis. So only one RNA is explained in detail in our textbook, that is regarding the adapter molecule. Adapter molecule is nothing but the tRNA, small t, that should be small t, tRNA. It is also called as adapter molecule or the soluble RNA. The specialties, there are 20 types of amino acids coded by 61 type of codons. We will discuss about the codons later. So each amino acid is carried by a specific tRNA. So each tRNA has a specific structure, specific sequence of nucleotides. The tRNA, also known as sRNA or soluble RNA, has an anticodon loop that has bases complementary to the code, and it also has an amino acid acceptor end to which it binds to amino acid. tRNAs are specific for each amino acid, and for initiation there is another specific tRNA that is referred to as initiator tRNA. Always it carries the formyl methionine as the initiator RNA. So there are no tRNAs for stop codons. Stop codon means that that will not code for any amino acid. We will discuss about the codons later. In this diagram we can see the secondary structure of tRNA, which has been depicted, that looks like clover leaf. So the model of tRNA is called as clover leaf model. In actual structure, the tRNA is a compact molecule which looks like inverted L. So this is regarding the structure of tRNA. The remaining topics will be discussed in the next video. Thank you.